Welcome to another episode of Cody's Coop. So I want to start by introducing my guest, Aaron. Aaron is a long-time Buckethead fan since 1993, and he's got some amazing Buckethead knowledge and some really rare Buckethead merch that he'll be talking about today. Now, I also want to thank Aaron because this episode was actually filmed as probably one of the first two episodes I had ever filmed. And there were some technical issues back then with a few of those early episodes, which, found all the solutions to solve them. However, this has sort of been a delayed episode by quite a bit. So, filmed it last year. I want to say thanks, Aaron, for being patient. And also, just for the listeners today, I would like to say that this episode will be audio, and the audio is great quality till we sort of get towards the end, which you can still hear. The episode is still all there and great. However, there was just moments where the mic had dropped in and out towards the end, but it comes back in and out, but you can still hear everything. And that's not till very much right near the end. So enjoy this episode. Most of this audio was great, and I can't wait for you to enjoy listening to all the great things that Aaron and I get to discuss about Buckethead. So here is my guest, Aaron. I asked my first question then, and I'm going to get down to here. So we want to start with, I think it was, when did you discover Buckethead?
This would be in the late summer of 1993. He did work for the film soundtrack for Last Action Hero with Michael Kamen. The last song on the soundtrack is called Jack and the Ripper, and it's a classical rock-oriented piece between the main protagonist, played by Arnold Schwarzenegger, who was a police officer named Jack Slater, and the Ripper, who was the main villain of the movie, within the movie, Jack Slater 3. What really drew my attention to Buckethead's playing in the song was there's a point in the middle where he's actually dueling with the horn section of the LA Philharmonic, I think. And I was like, okay, I've heard guitar versus banjo duel. I've never heard guitar versus horn section. And I've been a fan ever since.
How's Buckethead inspired you? With anything, like in life, like small, big?
His music has quite literally saved my life. I suffer from severe clinical depression at times, and the first album from beginning to end that got me out of those depression spells was Coma, which is I think is kind of appropriate because he actually made that album, I believe, for his mom, who was suffering from colon cancer at the time.
That's amazing, and I love it. And you 100% know it's true when people say that.
Slash from Guns N' Roses did an interview once as to how Buckethead's playing has no heart, and my rebuttal to that is simple. Buckethead has more albums of heart than Slash has albums.
It's such a misconception, I think, about Buckethead, where they say, they focus on the fact he's very technical. And it's like, well, he is, but he's really emotional at the same time. He's the best of both worlds together.
He is. Well, there's a reason why when you go to Buckethead's Wikipedia page, as of last count, he's listed under 23 different subgenres. Like, there is, if you don't find something of Buckethead in it for you, I don't think you're looking hard enough.
That is true. Because, I think we've got plenty of time still. Let me just insert this in here quickly. You can almost tell when someone truly has listened to Buckethead, and that's usually because, yes, you could say, wow, that guy's got amazing technique, amazing skills, but honestly, if you've listened to him that's not really the things that get spoken about as much. It's more like, let's say in some ways, more of the miracle stories, right? You get these miracle stories, or you'll get these almost like metaphysical reviews of him, where it's like, his music is like something else. It's another portal. Like, it's a spiritual atmosphere.
I wholeheartedly agree. I mean, your mileage will obviously vary depending on your individual taste and what you're looking for in Buckethead's playing, because some people only go for his bass playing, some people only go for his shredding, some people only go for his acoustic noodling, some people go for his more experimental stuff.
Yeah.
I pretty much, as a student of Buckethead, go for almost everything. I mean, I think there's only 2 or 3 albums in the entire discography that I listened to that I was like, yeah, I don't like this at all.
Yeah.
But I mean, 2 or 3 out of over now 400.
Was that the one that I think, Forensic Follies? Was that the one? Was that you who didn't like that as much?
Forensic Follies and Needle and the Slung Stack are like literally the 2 albums I don't like.
Yeah. I mean, they're kind of twins, sort of. Not twins, they're siblings. I count them as siblings. Like,
yeah, and he was trying to use, I can't remember the exact word offhand. I'm sure someone in your podcast comment section will chime in for me. But he was trying to use a technique originally done by Frank Zappa, where he was going to be taking bits and pieces of songs and trying to make new music out of it. There's one song on A Real Diamond in the Rough that has the same drum pattern as the Redeem Team, which is on the Albino Sluggy album.
I love them.
And that actually worked. But in terms of Forensic Follies and Needle and the Slung Stack, he was trying to make a Frankenstein's monster, and I don't think it really worked very well.
Yeah.
But again, I mean, I mean, every bot's got a different album, and it's actually amazing that the Bucket Bot community lives as peacefully as it does, because I'm actually shocked that fights don't break out on the internet as to what albums were the best and what albums are the worst. I'm hoping somebody in the fan community does a Buckethead album tier list, but because he's got over 400 albums already, you would have to have a whole bunch of cutoffs, and you'd have to make multiple tier lists, because otherwise, like, the video would be 3 days long.
Like, if you even try to make a top 100, right? We tried that, and just, it's sad because you got to leave a lot of good ones out. And
Do you limit yourself to just the music Buckethead has done as a solo artist under the name Buckethead? Because even if you do that, you're missing all the Death Cube K. You're missing all the stuff he's done with other bands.
Yeah. So that's where you're going to put them into categories. So if you have a top 100, you got to categorize them, right? So you can do like the collaborations, Buckethead just the Pikes, Buckethead just the albums, or Death Cube K, even like Deli Creeps. Put that all separate, so you can have like, you're not missing anything.
And do you consider the Death Cube K 5 CD set monolith to be 5 CDs? Or do you subscribe to the theory that all 5 CDs have to be played simultaneously for the best listening experience? Because there are some points across all 5 of the albums where certain discs don't have any sound on them at all.
As I'm going through my Buckethead journey, right, since 2020, right, so I'm here. Death Cube K...
Relatively good.
Yeah, Death Cube K is on my list of what I have to listen to still. I've checked out Deli Creeps, Giant Robot, like Buckethead's Giant Robot. Some of Buckethead's Cobra Strike. And was it Cobra Strike 2?
Yeah.
And then most have been going through the Pikes and hitting his albums.
I have a theory regarding Death Cube K that hasn't been disproved or proven. I believe Death Cube K is to Buckethead what Richard Bachman was to Stephen King.
Yep.
Buckethead was creating so much music that certain record labels didn't want him to put out so much music at once, so he created an entire other pseudonym as an excuse to put out the music.
Yeah.
To put out the music. That's UK, because that's UK is an anagram for Buckethead. Stephen King in the late 70s, early 80s wanted to know if his success was a fluke or if he got to it naturally. So he created the name Richard Bachman and released several books under that name. The most popular is The Running Man, I believe. Yeah, because that's the one that got adapted into an Arnold Schwarzenegger movie. So he purposely stacked the deck to make sure that no one figured it out, and then a few years later, somebody figured it out anyways.
Yeah.
So that's why there hasn't been any Bachman since the 2007 release of Blaze. I think that's what Buckethead was trying to do with Death UK, that he was under a recording contract, and they didn't want him to put out so much music at once. So he created an entirely different alter ego and just did the Death UK stuff.
You know, I always get this feeling that he knew he was going to create so much music, right? And I think maybe that was like almost like a okay, screw this, like even that now, I just got to do my own thing. I'm going to be independent. I'm going to release all my pikes after because I've got way too many ideas, you know?
Yeah, I know a lot of pikes, especially during that infamous October where he dropped an album a day. All that stuff could have just as easily been released as Death UK.
Yeah.
Because Death UK is more dark ambient stuff.
That's what I heard. So it's supposedly like the Halloween pikes, right? Remember there was like the 31 days of Halloween?
I actually have done a thing in my head, and then it was done on YouTube, where someone synchronized pumpkin and pikes together.
Yeah.
And it actually makes a whole other album.
That's incredible. Literally. I'm going to do that.
Back to my monolith thing, where if that's 5 CDs you have to play simultaneously in order to get the full experience.
I kind of feel like that's another question about just the discography in general. Or if we're talking pikes necessarily, some people like to go from one to finish, right? But I don't know, for me, I kind of like to go as I like to go through them randomly and pick one. But the problem is with that, you have to write it down, what you've listened to, and ones to come back to. Because, I'm not sure if I've been through, I definitely haven't completed all the pikes yet. I think I counted somewhere that I was up to, and this was loosely, I didn't sit down and look at the discography, but I'm like, when you flick through and you go, yes, 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 I'm going to say at least 218 pikes I've done. But I think they're great to sort of enjoy. I like to play them out. So if I find one pike and I love it, it gets played for a week, right? A straight week before I go to the next one. If there's what is it? What is the name? In Search of that box set. That rare one that's hard to get. But there's even that.
I've got copy number 761.
Yeah, so you have the original. That's incredible. Because I have to...
12 of the 13, it's just what I call the 10-second Buckethead drawing, where he draws his own face really, really quick.
Yeah.
And then one of them, there's somebody in a ocean of water with a meat cleaver stuck in the back of his head. That's the one unique drawing, because I figured somewhere around the 500th one, he was starting to get bored of making unique drawings, so that's why most of mine are the 10-second Bucketheads. This is what I call the 10-second Buckethead, because I figured it would take him 10 seconds just to draw it.
Mm-hmm.
Which one? And this is the one unique drawing I've got.
Now I'm going to get up close to that is... Oh, yeah, literally, the cleaver in the head.
Here's the 476 of the Cyborg Stubbs.
I love it. Yes.
And due to a error made by my credit card, I have 2 copies of Best Regards.
Oh, those are cool drawings.
Yeah, these are the Best Regards sets that he made when he was recovering from his back surgery.
Wait, I'll let you finish. Explain these, because this is something new that I have not seen.
Okay, so in 2010, Buckethead went in for back surgery, and Best Regards, I believe, was the set he made as sort of a thank you, because everybody in the Buckethead fan community at the time made one very, very big get well soon card. And so he made this set called Best Regards, where you got 5 CDs of music he did with Brain and Brain's niece, Melissa Reese.
Yeah.
And my credit card made the mistake of ordering twice. So this is copy number 250, and this is copy number 279.
Yeah.
I'm probably the only human on the planet to have 2 different sets of this.
I love this. Yeah, that's incredible. Wait, so what did this card look like back then? This is, dude, I feel like I've missed out on the last, well, basically, all these cool things that have happened in the last, if I went into, what we say, can we maybe say that he started from 89, let's say, and then up until now we could include all these great things? I mean, even before technically, but, you know, I've missed a lot since 1989.
I came in 1993, so the first Buckethead Land album had been out for a year, but we were still a year away from Giant Robot.
Yeah. Oh, I love Giant Robot.
I'm probably one of the earliest in Canada. I don't profess to know where exactly I rank, but yeah, I've been a bot since more or less the beginning.
Yeah.
And even I missed stuff, because in 1998 he was doing a thing where for $50 he would make you a custom cassette tape of whatever you wanted to hear, and I missed out on that completely. I know a couple of people got their tapes, but I don't think everybody got those.
Wow. Yeah. But you're fascinating. You need your own Buckethead Library. This is this is incredible. Wait, so you know, I mean, I love watching footage and things from back then too, right? But like hearing all the stories as well, and things like this where, like, you know, okay, for instance, the card and making their own cassette tapes, right? Of whatever you wanted to hear. So literally, like, you could say to him, I think one of the questions I wanted to ask was, like, you know, if you wanted to hear him do another genre for the next Pike, what would it be, right? We'll answer that in a moment. But no, let's answer that now, because I was just gonna tangent again. I was gonna say, that'd be cool.
Basically, if I ever won a lottery or got access to a stupid amount of cash,
yeah, I
would actually track Buckethead down, and I'd be like, okay, Buckethead Land 3, Down the Bayou 3, or Colma 2, whichever one you want to do, I'm gonna fund it.
I love this. You know, yeah, I mean, if I could pick one of those. Colma 2, but Buckethead Land 3 also.
Well, I want Colma 2 for personal reasons, because Colma is my favorite album ever recorded.
Yeah.
So I would kind of want a sequel. Yeah, I mean, I love the Down the Bayou series, because it's probably one of the only times he went into doom and sludge metal.
That was wicked, actually, and that's the one that confused me, because Down the Bayou 1 is a high. It's. Oh, you know where you get the my brain.
Down the Bayou part first.
Yeah, like the number. It was like backwards in terms of the Pike numbering. It was backwards, yeah. But yes, that's it. That is it. And wait, it was on Pike 231 and Pike 2. Was it 30 or 32? I need to I'm gonna check this on my
No, Pike 231 is 6 Days to Halloween.
Right. So where am I going? Bandcamp.
Here.
Let's have a look at this. I confuse Pike numbers all the time, right? And there's ones that like
130.
131.
130 was down in the bayou part 2.
Right.
And 131 was down the bayou 1.
Brilliant. So it's what? Yes. All right. Dude, I reckon this guy's so good for the brain, though. Like, when you think about it, if you were to train your mind to stay, like, healthy, you know? And I think, you know, like, when people get, like, older and they're supposed to do, like, you know, like, questions, like, how many words can you get in a row? Dude, I reckon just listen to these pipes, just try and remember the discography, because you have to be really sharp to get them all straight away.
It's not that hard if you conceptualize them right, because, I mean, I'll always know Population Override is Population Override because that's the one that has all the Toronto landmarks on the album cover.
So that's Toronto on the cover?
All the Toronto landmarks. So there's the Fairmont Royal York. I think you can see the CN Tower, the TD building.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was probably the bluesiest of all his pre-Pike albums.
I like that too. Like, I mean, Earth Heals herself is amazing.
Yeah, Earth Heals. Yeah, I like Cool Reality of Nature myself.
Yeah,
too many.
Sorry.
Yeah, the Royal York Hotel is featured, as is the Canada Trust Tower. Like, it's basically all of the major Toronto landmarks, other than maybe the CN Tower and the Sky Dome, underwater. Like, that's the cover.
You know when you look at his covers sometimes, or even if you look at the song names, this guy is almost like a prophecy, or some way, you know, there's a like, there's an idea of, like, well, I guess in some ways, like Atlantis, right? The underwater world.
Yeah.
Yeah. And, you know, like, when you find the, like, synchronicities and things, or the synchronization between songs, or, like, you know, little takes on certain things. I love that. I love it when he does that. It, you know, it's...
Yeah, going to the album Funnel Weaver, I mean, it's the most tracks of any Buckethead album ever, but people have noticed some songs on that have same drum patterns.
Yeah.
So what I think happened was he had 10 or 12 songs, and he just blew them up in a blender, and they became the 53 partial songs.
Yeah,
making the
But you know what? That's the beauty of him, you know? And you think, like, too, when you hit certain parts, you know, and they'll be like, you know, let's say one song that's maybe like 24, 30 minutes long, and then you got the next one, and it may be like, I swear, I need to go back through and check which one it is, but there's one that's got, like, you know, maybe a song of like 30 seconds or something like that, and I'm like, dude, this is really good, you should continue on with that. I would have liked the extended version.
I mean, In Search of had a lot of varying track lengths. Like, I think the very first song on the iDisc is only about 45 seconds.
Yeah.
The first disc is just one 45-minute song.
Yep. And it's amazing how, or like, because, you know what I mean? It's not like he does it because it's like he couldn't come up with another song per se, because, right, we've got the whole instance of, like, literally one song on the whole thing, but just being, like, super long. And he's done that on a few. You know when there's one where he just releases it, it's just one song, but it's super long.
It is. There's some songs, and then there's some Pikes he does, Pike 65 being the primary example, where it is one song, it's just that he divided them into 6 or 7 pieces.
Yeah. Oh, although, you know with that, you know what I think the beauty of that one is? I think because technically, if you've ever played them out of order, have you done that? And it still sounds like you could have it as just a separate song, but like when you actually go and listen to the whole thing in a row, you're like, where does it finish? Like at first I thought it was one whole song. And now I know that oh no, okay, there's, they're all different tracks. What's your favorite track on that? Because I love that part so much. I got like...
I think the very last one because, yeah, it would definitely be the last song of the fight because that's the one where he seemed least constrained by time.
Yeah, okay, I call it ER, or like, I guess you could call it,
Yeah.
Yeah, and 4, I love, those are actually my 2 favorite, let's say, parts of the entire composition. But there's something about that where it's just like, that is like the most magical track I've ever heard in my life, like literally. I think, I don't know, he's got a few actually. That track there, there's something about that, right? You can sit there, if I've ever come home and I felt like, oh man, like, this one thing annoyed me today. I go home and I sit down and I listen to that. That's what I plan to listen to, right? And I sit there and suddenly, it's like I'm a kid again, just skating, like rollerblading, like everywhere, right? With lightsabers, like, hello. So I get back on track. What I do, I mean, because I love this. I like the free-flowing questions, But, let's see. I'm going to throw in a few more of these, and then let's discover more. This is awesome. I love this. Okay. So what do I have? Well, yeah, okay, let's do these 3. Like, how would you describe the feeling of listening to Buckethead? And then that could even be in, like, the specific, like, if there's any albums or songs that appeal to you most, like, how would you describe the effect he has when you listen?
Well, I mean, it depends on the album and it depends on the day.
That's true.
Buckethead. Well, I mean, the first Buckethead Land album was kind of a sampler platter because there was some of his shredding, there was some of his more beautiful stuff like I Love My Parents, which then got re-recorded for Giant Robot.
Yeah.
And there was some of his funky stuff as well, including the Buckethead versus Banshee Bot, played by Bootsy Collins, the guitar-bass duel, which I wish he would do more of, but that's a whole other story. I mean, and then there's albums that are kind of, they go in 2 different directions, like, getting back to the pre-Pike era, Day of the Robot, Destroyer is a thrash metal song, but the other 4 songs on that album are drum and bass and jungle music, and I think Destroyer was supposed to be on the Giant Robot album, but it would have put the album over 85 minutes long, which means he would have had to have split it into 2 discs.
Ah.
So I think he took Destroyer off of the Giant Robot sessions.
Yeah.
And kept it, and then for Day of the Robot, he just made that the first song, and then just threw on some drum and bass pieces that he did with DJ Ninja. Because if you listen to Day of the Robot, Destroyer does not sound like the rest of the album. Not that there's anything wrong with that, because Destroyer hits pretty hard because it starts and ends with ambient surf music, and then there's thrash metal over the place in between.
I just love when he does that stuff.
I also feel a measure of empathy with Buckethead, depending on his real life. I don't feel this anyway more than the Spinal Clock album, because that's another album he was doing when he was going through the back surgery in 2010. That's why there's a crooked spine on the front of the album cover. I think that was his way of communicating, like, hey guys, I'm recovering nicely.
Yeah.
And I think he was playing the banjo because banjos are a lot lighter than guitars.
Yeah.
So I think that's why he did that album the way he did it. It all started, his website changed and there was a photo saying Buckethead is making repairs to the amusement park at this time. Slip Disc got in and wreaked havoc.
You know, I'm glad he's doing well, and I hope his health is all good. I mean, it looks to be. You know, I think, like, even with his albums, wait, quick question though. You know, with the live album releases, like the live Pikes,
Yeah.
I wonder if that's because, you know, like when the guitars, they went missing, you know, like last year. See, I know because people are like, I wonder if he's alright because it's just a lot of live Pikes. And I'm like, oh, dude, I think he's alright, but I think it's probably more, you know, stuff to do with, like, the guitars missing and everything. Like, I imagine he'd be so particular that he has to use certain ones. Well, I mean, that's sort of a given for any guitarist, really, you know. Yeah.
Oh, the thing about Buckethead is he's 6'6" without his bucket.
Yeah.
So he kind of needs he needs custom Les Paul jumbo models because a regular guitar he could probably break with 3 fingers.
To look this up, but I remember saying, like, he's had that, like, yeah, the custom, like, Buckethead ones, they were much longer, much, like, yeah, much bigger. As you can do
And
more.
ironically, he doesn't like playing 7 or 8 string guitars.
Well, okay, this is another, okay, great. I'm just checking on that my camera's still recording. This is something that I have my own thoughts on, and that is, you know, I mean, when some people just say, like, let's say, people that aren't Buckethead fans, you know, like the people are, you know, oh, this album's good and this is why it's this, and it's like, dude, like, we don't know everything, right? So, my idea of it is, when you listen to Buckethead, right, and it's like he can make the simplest notes, like, so complex and so interesting, right? And obviously the technique is there, and like what did he do with Sean Lane, and he was going into was it the atonal technique?
I think what you're referring to is the Sean Lane song Kaiser Nankaro.
Yeah.
Where he made a computer play a guitar piece that was so fast it should not be able to be played by human hands.
Yeah.
And then 3 days later, Buckethead basically walked into Sean Lane's classroom and started playing the song in real time, and Sean Lane just kind of went, well, crap. I mean, I know one of his earliest influences was Nicholas Smolinski's Big Thesaurus of Scales and Chords.
Mm-hmm.
And I think he memorized that entire thing. And that basically became the Buckethead Bible, I guess, would be the closest I could really compare it to. I think that became the basis of like 80 to 90% of Buckethead's playing style.
Yeah.
Where he literally found the biggest book of scales and chords he could find, memorized the whole damn thing, and off he went. Because I know he did have some lessons with Paul Gilbert, but if anything, he's probably mostly self-taught.
Well, yeah, because, you know, like, I read that too, didn't he? Like, he studied, like, basically all he could, like, everything he could with music theory. And, right, then, it's another thing, we know Paul Gilbert, Joe Satriani, did he ever, no, didn't learn from Satriani at all? No.
Joe Satriani taught Kirk Hammett of Metallica.
Right, yeah, because Satriani, I know he's taught a few, I think he taught Vi even, you know? There was some article, I think, where he says, you know, or maybe it was Paul Gilbert who said this, I may be wrong, so let's not put misinformation out there, but it was some article on this, and he said, I think, he's not concerned so much with, doing crazy techniques and everything, it's just he wants to learn now. Once he's learned the techniques about music and all he can learn, he wants to focus on creating like a visual and like that atmosphere for people, right? And so that's where you get him going off inventing his own, different techniques, different sounds, everything. So, that's the impressive thing about him. He's so, I just feel like people don't give him a chance. I feel like there's a thing, I don't know what it is, but I feel like maybe sometimes even in a community where people say, no, like where you know about instrumental guitarists and their albums, right? I still feel like sometimes he doesn't get enough recognition. That's something that kind of, I'm like, but that's the thing. I think it's maybe because he's got so many albums, right? I mean, well, if we look at, let's put Pikes in the albums category for anyone that doesn't know Buckethead that well, right? So we'll put them all in there, the entire discography. And I think maybe people just sort of look and go, even maybe they hit 1 or 2, and even if they've heard 10, right? That's not enough. That's not enough to know the extent of Buckethead. You need to listen to at least 100, at least, before you can actually understand and go, wow, okay. Like I've definitely hit some amazing, like compositions in there. I've hit some ones that I've never heard anything like this before. I mean, even in like traditional blues, right? And people talk about certain blues guitarists being, the greatest of all time. But I swear, not being biased, but if anyone wants to listen to Ghosts of Broken Eggs, that is wild, all right? That is like, that traditional blues, but it's another level. I heard that he actually does some really incredible things in there, to the point where, let's say, another guitarist described it when we broke it down. I was like, what's he doing that actually makes this so amazing? Is it just me, or is it what he's doing? And they're like, that's like Hendrix on steroids. But, no one's using steroids. Buckethead does not do that, right? I'm just saying, as a metaphor. He's natural, right? Which, again, is incredible, because he's, that's the other thing. His imagination and his skill, that's the other thing. When you avoid fame and things like that, you don't need, drugs or alcohol to help you, that, he's doing things beyond another level that are superhuman.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's also, it's a two-edged sword, because one of my main frustrations with Spotify is, because Buckethead has been through so many different recording projects and through multiple labels, I did the math once, and there's 115 of his albums are not on Spotify. Minimum.
Yeah, because some of the best ones, I'm like, oh, that's why you really gotta dig through. Some of those, literally, some of the ones where I'm like, dude, this is freaking incredible. Like, pretty much a ton of my favorite ones are not on Spotify.
Yeah, there's nothing on him for Spotify after How Much Does a Thought Weigh.
Yeah.
That's the one. And Death Cube K is even less represented. I think only two of the Death Cube K albums are on.
Yeah. Is there any? What did I find? Is Deli Creeps on Spotify? Because technically.
So Deli Creeps is on Spotify.
Yeah.
600 monthly listeners. Dawn of the Deli Creeps was basically reissued for Spotify last year.
Right.
Buckethead's solo stuff minus Death Cube K is in my B playlist.
Yep.
Which as of right now is 8,532 songs. I'm willing to bet at least a couple thousand of those are Bucketheads.
Well, I heard this year, right? Because apparently his solo, the solo compositions, like any albums that he's done, the song count, I think this was 4 years ago, almost 4 years ago. And I think it was on the Buckethead Disciple, they had it structured out. So we can assume that we can add more to this now, right? 4 years ago, I think it was something like 2,192. That's a rough estimate from what I remember, but it was over 2,000. And that was about 4 years ago. And that was without the collaborations, right? Without the other bands. That was just solo work. So you're right, it'd be like, yeah, a couple thousand. At least.
Yep. It's horribly out of date now, but if you were to start listening to the very first Buckethead song now and go all the way to the most recent compositions he's released, it would take you more than 1 week.
And without sleep, yeah? Like if you stayed up.
Without sleeping or going to the bathroom.
I had these things on repeat too. Like it was just like, you know, you get to like one song and it's just so good. You need to listen to that for the next 2 hours before you can go to the next one.
Yeah, I mean, it depends on my day. It depends on my tastes that day.
Yeah. Anyway, that is something that I do as well, right? I feel like it's very hard to say, like, what the favorite song is. I feel like that's really hard to say because there's equals and they're for different reasons and they're for different moods. You know?
I mean, if there was one Buckethead song that I had to put in the time capsule, for me it'd be Whitewash.
Yeah. Which I think that's in my my questions, because I was going to say, was that the one? Because the one where I believe there's a song, maybe there's a few, that's in that discography that is meant for certain people, where it like resonates on that level. So is Whitewash one of those?
Yes.
Yeah. And do you have another sort of like almost to that level of like Whitewash, like something
Yeah, I mean, if I can narrow my entire Buckethead fandom to 5 songs, it would be Whitewash, Final Wars, Jack and the Ripper, Sea of Expanding Shapes, and this is hard. Light in the Fog.
Oh yeah! Wait. Because that's like that, you know. That is the light in the fog. That's sort of like my little. I think that was my first ever one that I found. That was like, yes. That one was the lifesaver. That one was what do you call it? That one's special. And you know, whenever you hear them and you go back to it, you can't not listen to your favorites, right? Or these special ones that are like so in tune with you. You never go back and listen and not listen to it like it's sentimental when you do. And there's nothing like it. Like there'll never be like another. I don't think anyone who could like replicate it ever.
No, I mean, you can't really replicate anything Buckethead does.
No. You know what? I think even if people did the skill right, they wouldn't have the movement or the emotion the same. And that's the thing. I think it's like it's so different.
And even if you did that, you wouldn't have the diversity.
That's it. I think he's
the fact that the Buckethead has played with both Bootsy Collins and Guns N' Roses is that in and of itself is a testament to how diverse he is as a musician.
Yeah. No, wait, who is it too? No, I'm thinking of someone else now. Forget it, my brain's trailing. I think it was about Brain, actually. Because he did some album that was with Tom Waits, I think. And
yes.
Yeah, and I mean, yeah, when you look at that too, the diversity again. But I mean, totally different now, and I'm flailing off track. But that's just what it reminded me of when you're talking about the diversity with Buckethead, and it just like, yeah. But You know, I see why he likes Brain a lot. I see why they work well together. You know?
Yeah, and that's what parlayed him to get into working with Les Claypool on Monsters and Robots and Colonel Claypool's Bucket of Bernie Brains.
So Brain was what? Was he the first one, sort of? No. Well, because Maximum Bob's been around a while. Like, since the start. He's in Deli Creeps. Pinchface, been around a long time with Bucket. So Brain came in, right? What, 90... Would it be... It has to be before 94. 92, 93?
Well, 92, as shown by the video footage inside the Secret Recipe DVD, is when Buckethead got off the plane to meet with Brain for the first time, and that was Pieces.
Yeah.
The Pieces didn't even come out in 1997.
Yeah. I love that clip. And it's got Giant Robot with him. I love it. I love Giant Robot. You know what? I didn't even know what Giant Robot was until Buckethead, and now I'm just like, yeah. Like...
Well, there's Giant Robot, and then there's Giant Robot NTT.
Yeah. Oh, wait, that's the version with Scraps. No, the 90s. Yeah, the 96 version.
Yeah. Giant Robot NTT.
I love Scraps and Mrs. Beasley. That is like, dude, you like drive out to the desert at nighttime, sit on the front of your car, and go listen to Mrs. Beasley, and just stare up, like, you know, just honestly, like, up at the stars. Like, that is Mrs. Beasley, but it's, like, next level. It's, dude, that's wicked. I love the MTV version. That is, well, it had Chicken Boy, Well.
Yeah, well.
Yeah.
He was still playing live solo. I don't know if you've got Secret Recipe, but the second disc is a live performance when he played in Boston in 2004, and he still played Well in the set list then.
Yeah. Actually, I need to get Secret Recipe. That's what I mentioned next, right? Because I got clips on YouTube, right? Because what I just bought was, I got my young Bucketheads, right? Finally, so I can watch the whole of these, because, you know, when you watch them on YouTube, you see different clips, and you're like, I want to see all of that. But, you know, like, I want to have it. So I need Secret Recipe, and I want the one with Brain, the worst instructional drum video ever. That is brilliant. Bits that I've seen in that are brilliant. That is fantastic. Oh, you got it there?
Yeah. Yeah, I've got, I actually was very fortunate in that I actually found Secret Recipe in an actual music store. I didn't have to go online and buy it.
Right. What? Okay. See, this is the stuff where I have to look on the computer half the time. But, you know, I got one of these. I think it was like on a US copy too, so I had to get like a different, I think it works in the computer file, but I had to get like a different adapter for it even. To play
Secret Recipe, because Secret Recipe are Region 0 DVDs, so you can play them on any DVD player on the planet.
That's awesome.
Doesn't matter where.
These were like a Region 2 or 4 or something. I was one of those. Don't know if it says that on it anyway, but oh well. I'm gonna watch it anyway. It'll work on my computer. So, but I'm excited for those. This is turning. Look, this is good. I feel like even when I'm tangenting and going off trail from the questions, as long as you're having fun, that's all I care about. I keep trailing in and being like, darn it, I'm losing my train of thought, and my brain is like, like, let's say, I've got more Buckethead things in the background, right? And I want to show them to you, but I'm going to get through these questions first because, you know.
Yeah.
We need like a 5-hour Buckethead video chat recording, something like that one day. Like 5 hours and 13 minutes, and I think that's enough time. Talk about him forever. So, that's questions. What do we say? Feeling favorite songs, albums, plays. Oh, yeah, okay. Alright. Do you remember? Okay, what was your favorite? Like, do you have a favorite Buckethead? Let's say, like, either a live show or, like, a moment. Like, anything that's, like, one of those Buckethead moments. You know, like the funny ones where he's just being him. Yeah,
The reason why Buckethead hasn't played Canada since Guns N' Roses is because of 9/11. Mm-hmm. Because of the enhanced airport security, I don't think they will let him go through unmasked when trying to cross the Canadian border. So I actually was at the Toronto Guns N' Roses show back when he was still in the band.
Dude, you have so much, like, yes, you have the ultimate Buckethead experience, yes, yeah.
Oh, no, there's some American bots that have actually seen him solo and have gotten his toys that have far better experiences than me. I mean, but I was just, Axl Rose, to his eternal credit, let Buckethead just go off for 10 minutes while the rest of the band had a break, and that was when he would randomly shred, he wasn't randomly shredding because he played a lot of Big Sur Moon, and then he did the thing with the nunchucks, and that was when I got to feel the Buckethead experience. If I ever want to experience that again, unfortunately, A, he's going to have to tour again, and B, I'm going to have to fly to the United States because he's not going to be able to come over to Canada without taking the mask off, and then his identity is exposed. So,
yeah, well, no, we're not having that. So, you know, yeah. Well, okay. You know what? That's what I want to do too. I feel like doing big tours. That's when I'm gonna travel. I only want to travel now for music. Like, you know, I want to make this stuff meaningful. You know, like and you know, like if you've got friends that you need to catch up with, you know. I mean, imagine, like, all the, like, right, we get to meet all these other bucket bots around at the shows.
Yeah.
I mean, it'd just be great. But, yeah, I think, because there's sort of that idea, you know, like, well, we saw him at the Supercross live, like, that was a surprise. But,
I never thought he would play the U.S. Anthem live.
That was beautiful, though. That made my whole freaking week. You know, I feel like you know, when it's like, it's almost like you're watching, like, you know, your child stand up there and do really well, and you're just like, yeah, I'm proud. Like, that's what it feels like sometimes for me. like, you just feel so happy for him. That is, I don't know, it's got that effect, right? Dude, that might be a weird thing that I get. I don't know. You know. I'm gonna just be weird.
No. It was definitely refreshing and amazing to see that he can not only still play live, but it's this salute to Jimi Hendrix because, Jimi Hendrix made his infamous live version of the U.S. Anthem at Woodstock. So that was his salute to him. One thing I'm happy about with Spotify is Axiom Funk's If 6 Was 9 is on Spotify.
Yep. Yeah. That's, you find some
That's my favorite Hendrix cover of all time.
Yeah. I think you do find some rare things on Spotify, though, that you wouldn't think would be on there.
Well, not only that, but Buckethead actually learned how to play guitar left-handed for that song because Jimi Hendrix is a left-handed guitar player.
I thought so. I thought he was like that and he could do too. So I you know, like I was wondering, and I'm like, dude, I swear he is. Like, I'm like, where have I seen a video? You know when you swear you've seen something like that? I mean, you know when you're going through YouTube or you can't remember where you can't remember what, but you're like, dude, I swear you can do like two. That's not a thing to me where it's you can do both right and left-handed, right? Like, so it is. So it's true.
Yeah. Yeah, and that video is just him, Bootsy Collins, and Brain just goofing around New York.
Yes.
And do you know who directed that music video?
No.
Alex Wynter, a.k.a. Bill S. Preston Esquire from the Bill and Ted movies.
No. Wait. Dude, I was literally about to put a quote up in my room that says, be excellent to each other. I'll show you after I've got it. Like, that's wicked. Really?
Yeah, Alex Wynter has directed a lot of things over the years. That music video was I think that was his first music video. He's also done a biopic on Frank Zappa.
Right. Shit, dude, I'm like, what? This is news. Wow. This is so educational for me. Like, seriously, I'm only, let's say, I never get around to watching that many movies because I'm usually listening to music. I always sound weird, but like I can listen to music for hours and don't always get around to like the video side of things or the movie side of things. Even if I want to, it's just like it could take me months before I do anything like that unless it's like a clip on YouTube, right? So.
Oh, I'm sure you can find it on YouTube somewhere.
On YouTube?
Yeah, I'm sure you could find Axiom Function 619 on. And it's actually one of the music videos in the Secret Recipe.
Right.
Because I think the music video Buckethead was ever a part of up to Secret Recipe is included in the Coop. Because there's that one, there's the one for the Ballad of Buckethead, which is off the Monsters and Robots album. Then there's that. I do love your skirt.
Yeah, Monsters and Robots. Continue. I'm sorry. That sticks. Love Monsters and Robots.
Spokes for the Wheel of Torment. That art piece for Spokes for the Wheel of Torment. That's on the Secret Recipe DVD as well. But yeah, Bill S. Preston Esquire from Bill and Ted directed Buckethead.
That's awesome. Wait, this is a thing. I've seen clips of this on YouTube. You remember the one where it's like that footage and he's standing above that bridge, like at first, and it's like, then there's another one in the city. He's wearing a green jacket, and you're like, from Secret Recipe. Is that? Okay, I'm gonna find these because there's a bunch that are included in like the binge series, the binge clips.
Yes.
The volumes, I should say.
Secret Recipe was basically like the best of the binge clips videos and some new footage thrown in as well.
Right.
There is a lot of overlap.
Yeah. And that's where I go and I go, dude, I swear I've seen this, I swear I've seen that somewhere. But, and I'll go and I'll have a look. So, as far as I know though, you know that clip where he's in London, right? And, like he's like robot dancing on the street?
Yeah.
Yeah? Shit, that is like one of my favorite, like, moments ever. But, that, okay?
I believe that was one of the tours for Praxis.
And it was on one of the binge volumes, I think, like one of those clips, and I can't remember what. Sometime
I could be wrong on that, but I think it's binge clips 3.
Yeah, I've seen. I don't know if it's labeled wrong half the time, or if it was like 4 or 3, but it'll take me a while to find it, right? Unless I go to Natanet's thing and go to his funniest moments, right? Because it's in there, like just that clip. But Yeah, because I noticed Secret Recipe had some of the same moments, right, from some of the binge clips. And so
Yes.
I was really kind of hoping that London, that London moment was made it into the Secret Recipe DVD, but it looks like it hasn't. Is it in there?
Most of the Secret Recipe stuff is Buckethead in North America or Buckethead in Japan.
Yeah.
The Europe stuff is not really mentioned all that much, if at all.
Okay. Because I need to find these binge clips, because like that's the thing that, like if you go and wasn't that ever released as like on DVD ever? Never.
No.
Yeah.
That's what Secret Recipe was basically for.
Right.
To basically make the best binge clips on DVD with some new footage.
Well, I think we should just have like all of the binge volumes, because that's the best of to me, like that. Everything.
Yeah. It still floors me today that Dimebag Darrell actually had a couple of the binge clips tapes.
Yes. Wait, did you say but I don't know what my mind just thought you said.
Dimebag Darrell actually owned a couple of the Buckethead binge clips tapes.
Oh, yeah, okay, right. Oh, all right. That's cool. I didn't know that. I forget, my mind gets so excited and it hears something and then it's like, is that what he said? Yeah. Because there was another clip though where he met Dimebag Darrell.
Yeah, that was at the NAMM Music Convention in 2003.
Right. Was that on any, did that make it onto any DVD as well? Or that was just, no? Right.
No, that was being traded by tape traders. The only reason why I own a copy of the DVD John Carpenter's Ghosts of Mars is for the featurette where it's John Carpenter, Anthrax, Buckethead, and Steve Vai all working together.
I went nuts over that. You know what? I still haven't seen the movie, but I've seen the clip where they've got them in the recording studio, and I've listened to the soundtrack. The soundtrack, yeah. Forget about the movie, just listen to the soundtrack. I'm sure the movie's good.
Best movie. It's not Carpenter's best movie, but the soundtrack, yeah, the soundtrack's incredible.
Oh, Love Sage. I say the weirdest thing sometimes. I can never get the words correct. It's Love Sage, and that's the one that like Buckethead, one of the tracks that he's on, and it always reminds me of like, like a horror film stab, because it's like.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Every time I hear that, I'm like, yeah. It's just so good. And Fighting Mad was the other one. And he was on the Kick-Ass was the song that I think was the other one that he did. But that whole soundtrack is really impressive. That's one of my favorite, let's say, like collaboration ones. And the fact that John Carpenter composed it, and he's got like, what do you have, like Robin Fink, obviously the legend, the great god Buckethead, Steve Vai. That made me, I was like, dude, just like Vai, Buckethead, and John Carpenter mentioned together, that's already sounding pretty freaking cool. But just even Buckethead and John Carpenter together, right? That combination alone, amazing.
See, my guess for that is someone sat John Carpenter down and played the binge clip of Buckethead two-hand tapping the Halloween theme.
Oh,
and
yeah.
John Carpenter looked like, yeah, okay, I need to hire this guy for a future movie.
Yeah.
I'm thinking that.
Because you know how I even found out about the Ghost of Mars, right, was, I remember thinking to myself that same thing. Dude, I reckon John Carpenter would love Buckethead, like, because, I mean, Buckethead's real into the Halloween series, but he's also into, like, his, like, horror films, and I know, like, John Carpenter always usually makes the greatest, like, movie scores, right? I mean, I think he even says that he likes to create music that leaves you with that same sort of feeling and visual.
Yeah.
And that's so I googled and I was like, Buckethead and John Carpenter, and that's what came up, and I was like, oh my god, like that's a thing. I went to it and I went into this track and I'm like, this is the greatest. This is like one of these hidden gem soundtracks. I love the Ghost of Mars soundtrack. Right? I'm real passionate about it.
You're probably as passionate about the Ghost of Mars soundtrack as I am about the Last Action Hero soundtrack.
Yes, right. So that's your favorite movie soundtrack. So we say
that album came out in the summer of 1993. The entire next 20 years of my musical taste is traced back to that one album, because you had classic hard rock with AC/DC and Aerosmith. You had experimental hip hop with Fishbone and Cypress Hill. You had heavy metal with Alice in Chains and Megadeth. You had progressive rock with Queensryche. You had ballads with Def Leppard. And then it ends with Michael Kamen conducting the LA Philharmonic, and Buckethead was there as well. And I was just like, yeah, this Buckethead guy is going to probably be my next favorite guitar player.
Because that was one of my questions. When did you realize when that moment was, where he was like, you have that moment where you're like, dude, who is this guy? Like, he is freaking incredible. Like, you have that moment and you just realize, like, holy shit. Like, I don't know, I'll beat that out if I'm not supposed to swear. It's hard sometimes not to. Holy business. This guy's amazing. Like, when did you have that sort of moment where he's like, you sort of realize he was just like the greatest ever?
I had two of those moments. I had the moment with Jack and the Ripper, and then I had the moment with Coma.
Yep. Right. So that was, do you remember like the feeling where you just thought like, because it's kind of like a feeling like no other. Hey, you just can't believe that this is like it's like the find of your life, and you just know every song afterwards that you discover is probably going to be really freaking good.
Yeah, that was. Yeah, I as I said, I had two of those moments, Jack and the Ripper, and then I had it again with Coma, because you know how hard it was in the days where people actually bought music for a living to actually find Buckethead without having to special order it.
Yeah. I can imagine. It's even like, cause I think yeah. Sorry.
I only ever found two Buckethead things in an actual store without having to actually order. Actually, no. Sorry, there's 4, but 2 of them were on the same day.
What?
Secret Recipe, some from the Slaughterhouse, Electric Sea, and I actually found. I have somewhere, I can't find it. I actually know, it's probably in my storage cupboard. I actually have a physical copy of Octave of the Holy Innocents.
Wow. Dude, you have... This is cool. Sorry, I'm just thinking like this whole time, like, dude, you were insanely good with your Buckethead collection. Like, and to have that over the years too, right? But so those were the ones that you had to order in?
No, those are the ones I actually found in an actual store.
Oh, right.
Without having to order it.
Okay. So, there was, I mean, for me, like, right, when I've got, like, my, just, like, since I found him, I've been able to, like, go to Bandcamp and then buy, like, hard copies from his site. But even, like, some of the DVDs that I'm trying to find, and some of those, obviously, like, the rare ones, like, In Search of the, and I was really wanting, like, no one, I love this, is that no one really wants to sell their Buckethead merch, but I think that's a sign of, like, how good he is, It's so hard to find. Do you want to sell your copy of NTT?
I'm going to be buried with me.
Yeah, right?
In Search of those kids buried with me. I'm never selling that.
Like, dude, if I had a hard copy of Giant Robot NTT, I wouldn't sell it. And that's kind of what I knew as I was typing that in on eBay once. I was just like, I wonder who's got that, like a hard copy. Like, and I'm like, I just, dude, no one wants to sell that.
Yeah.
Nobody.
Yeah, in regards to the physical albums that are not special releases, NTT and Day of the Robot are like, those are the two holy grails.
Yeah. I think that's, yeah. Dude, they'd be worth a lot, hey. Like, so, you know what, I'm gonna say this, I mean, like, yeah, like, no amount of money could honestly, like, you know what I mean? If you have that one copy that's there, like, if you found one copy and everyone's looking at it that wants one, like, you know what I mean? It's one of those things, like, it's like a race into the light almost, like, it's too valuable to pay for. You gotta fight for that thing.
Yeah, my copy of In Search of the was the best $200 I ever spent.
I bet it was. You know what? These sort of the best money I've ever spent, literally. I'm gonna say right now, probably a few that, but like I'm gonna say anything Buckethead, because right he does, like, the effect that he has on your, like, you just own happiness with, like, the imagination, the things that you suddenly start being able to do once you listen to him. That's pretty incredible. But I mean, like, just in the what do you call it? In the recreational moments where you're by yourself and this is like your time for you and you're just enjoying him and everything's great. That alone is priceless. So the other thing that I would have spent the best money on, I'm sure I'll probably forget a few other things, but anything Buckethead and my cats, right? Shout out to both of those two.
Ironically, I'm horribly allergic to cats.
Well, you know what? They're sorry. If they're ever in the room, they send their they send their apologies. Yeah. Yeah. So I'm gonna try and finish the rest of the questions and shut up. So
No problem.
I love this a lot. So I'm really enjoying this. Thank you. Going back to, okay, so we hit the live show one. First time with Ultimate Guitarist was it? Okay, we asked that. Yeah, okay. All right, I'm gonna ask these. What pipes would you want to hear live if you know when you put that sort of question out to everyone and it was like what pipes people would want to hear live if he tours again?
Pike Doors would be the.
Yeah.
I mean, that would be the one for everybody.
Yeah.
I know in the last few shows he did live, he played Coupon.
Yeah.
Coupon
is
great.
Yeah.
For my personal taste, embroidery. I actually want the embroidery Pike to be played.
What? That was it 134?
That was Buckethead Doom Metal Pike. Pardon?
Was that Pike 134? That was after the Bayou ones, wasn't it? Down by the Bayou.
133.
133, right.
Down the Bayou 2, down the Bayou 1, Chamber of Drawers, and then embroidery.
Yeah. Yeah. Those. No, I can't.
And then after that was Digging Under the Basement, right, which is just fun. I laughed my ass off at that just because of the track listing.
I love it because there's like full like sound effects in there, and I swear you hear Jason, and he's like, like you hear Jason somewhere. I swear, and I'm like, oh, I love that, and it sounds to me like a poltergeist at some point, like just absolutely messing about in someone's house.
Yeah, the one Pike I would want him to do live, for my own personal reasons and tastes, is embroidery.
Yeah.
Because that's his doom metal Pike, basically.
Yeah, look. I'm gonna say I'd be pretty happy if he did. You know, I've got to not talk so I can continue answering his questions.
Yeah.
But
Go back to your questions, Kody. On.
right. All right. Yeah. So maybe I asked this earlier. I can't remember. But was there a specific genre that's like? No, we did. We asked this. Because you're like, no, there's like all the genres, right? But if there was, let's say, is there a specific genre that you reckon that you haven't heard in a while, but that you'd want to hear on a pipe, like again, like a new one?
I would like to hear him with an orchestra again, because that was my beginnings of Buckethead.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm pretty sure he could get some time with the LA Philharmonic or the San Francisco Philharmonic, and they could either do symphonic adaptations of previously recorded Buckethead songs, or he could write material with them.
Yeah. So that's a cool answer, because I was gonna say.
Yeah, I mean, the San Francisco Philharmonic made symphonic versions of Metallica songs. I'm pretty sure you could go through all 400 plus albums of Buckethead and get 2.5 hours worth of material for him to go for Buckethead to play through, and you could hear the songs in a whole new way. Like, can you imagine what "I Love My Parents" would sound like if he had a full orchestra behind him?
That's because you know what? I need to say this briefly before I ask my next question, because I hate not being able to be like, yes, like. But right, there's something so amazing, number one, about the guitar when you listen to it, when it's like done like with an orchestra. There's something like, when like an orchestra is usually quite ambient, like it actually feels like a true like setting of somewhere, right? And the guitar's like that connection where it's your connection, where suddenly that sort of dreamy sort of vibe that you're looking at or like experiencing, right? What you're listening to, the guitar sort of is the factor that pulls you into that, and it becomes real. Like, it's just got a sound to it. And when you say like I mean, that's like the guitar orchestra. There's, what's their name? But there's ones where it's like, like when Steve Vai does his orchestral versions of music, where he's got the orchestra playing behind him. Dude, that's like thick. Those, and like imagine like I just reckon like really like even some of those ambient tracks of Bucketheads with an orchestra would sound even more like, dude, like what frequency am I on? What realm did I step into?
What instruments would an orchestra put more to the forefront for the first half of Praxis's Animal Behavior towards the second half? Because if you listen to Animal Behavior, that's, to me, it's two different songs. The first half is the fun part, and then the second half is this beautiful ambient piece that Buckethead plays.
Yeah, well, right.
Or even Inner World and the New Innocence, as talking Praxis.
Yeah. All right, let me think about this here, because you know what? What about like woodwinds? Do you reckon that like Into World of the New Innocence? Maybe.
Yeah.
And woodwinds, obviously strings. What else would I put in there as like no, I would go woodwinds, all right? Definitely on Into World and the New Innocence. I reckon the woodwinds would go a treat with that. That's my take on it. Animal Behavior. I mean, I'd say strings, but specifically, when you think of a specific instrument.
Well, I would go double bass for
Yes,
half.
yeah,
And then I would strings for the second half.
yeah. That would sound epic. Dude, this has been cool. I'm gonna ask you one more thing then and go, no, two more things quick, and then I gotta stop talking. Just so, because then it's like, we don't want to lose the whole thing. It'll be like, shit, no.
Okay, understood.
What do you love most about Buckethead?
It's just the fact that I can relate to him on a personal level, because he seems to share the same pathological shyness that I have.
Do you think Buckethead has a unique skill?
Yeah, his versatility.
Yeah. True. Because, again, I gotta wrap it up. You know
Not
what?
only one of the fastest guitar players in the world, he's also one of the best bass players and one of the best banjo players.
Yes.
And he can still twirl notes around.
Yeah, and there's something too. Like, I swear, is he a clarinet player? I need to check on that. I read something interesting like that. Maybe it was saxophone or clarinet. I don't know. That or piano.
Piano, I know. Yeah, he does play piano.
Yeah. Thank you, Aaron, for joining me here today, and it's been a pleasure.
Pleasure.
Yeah, thank you.